record on this. And we go back to the presentation. Oh, it's so good to have a rehearsal this morning. Good. Sylvia, over to you.
Thank you, David. Warm greetings to one and all from COSWA. I hope each one of you are happy and healthy. I take immense pleasure in welcoming you all for the Policy Forum of COSWA, being held today, the 22nd October 2022, live and online. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good day to all those who are present today for this Policy Forum meeting of COSWA. On behalf of the board, I welcome the President of IFSW, Mr. Joachim Mumba, Mr. Mayaka, and all other dignitaries of IFSW attending this forum meeting. I welcome the dignitaries representing IASSW and the awardee, Mr. Nigel Hall, and the family members of the awardees. Welcome, dear professors, practitioners, students of different institutions and organizations from all over the globe. Last but not the least, I welcome the board members of COSWA and all other well-wishers and supporters of COSWA. Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step, said Martin Luther King Jr. Hearty welcome, dear all, to witness the first Policy Forum meeting of COSWA. Welcome all. Now let us look at the agenda for today's meeting. Welcome and Commonwealth context, COSWA evolution, questions and comments, honored Commonwealth Social Worker Award, COSWA activities, questions and comments, COSWA governance, questions and comments, next steps. Dear participants, a policy forum is to seek people's opinion on behalf of COSWA. I encourage you all to ask questions and also comment whenever you are requested. Make it interesting. Thank you. Introductions and setting the context. Let me introduce the board members to you all. Dr. Sylvia Daisy Romanus, the chair of the Commonwealth Organization for Social Work, works as an associate professor at Madras Christian College in the Department of Social Work, Self-Finance Stream. She is the Innovation Ambassador of MCC Institution Innovation Council and Government of India. She is a member of the Community Advisory Board, the National Institute for Tuberculosis Research, ICMR, and honored as social scientist by the National Foundation for Liver Research. Ms. Monique is the executive board member of COSWA. She is a registered social worker in Canada. Monique has held senior level positions as executive director and CEO of organizations focused on children, families, homelessness, domestic violence, and addiction. She was appointed to the Alberta Family Violence Death Review Committee by the Alberta Government, Minister of Child and Family Services, and sits as an advisory member of the Global Institute of Social Work. She also worked for Oxfam and the Canadian Department of Foreign Affairs as a landmine ambassador. Next, let me introduce Dr. Godfred Bohan. He's the executive board member of COSWA. He represents UK and he's the honorary treasurer of COSWA. Recently, we had our election and there is a change in this position. Next, let me introduce Dr. David N. Jones, the executive board member of COSWA. He is the main representative to the Commonwealth institutions. He is a member of the British Association of Social Workers Council. Dr. David is a qualified social worker with extensive national and local government, NGO, and private sector experience. He was president of the International Federations of Social Workers, IFSW, and global coordinator of the Global Agenda for Social Work and Social Development. His doctorate researched evaluating the quality of social services. He is a trustee of children and families across borders and has published and spoken extensively on social work practice and management in the UK and overseas. Next, let me introduce Mr. Charles Bugua. He's the executive board member of COSWP. He's a frontline social work practitioner with long and extensive experience, having worked in other countries in Africa. He's a past president of the International Federation of Social Workers in Africa. He's a representative of IFSW at UN Habitat and is the co-chair of the General Assembly of Partners Older Persons Constituent Group. Next, let me introduce Ms. Janice Christiansen Wood. She's the executive board member of COSWA. She's a registered social worker in Canada. She is past president of the Canadian Association of Social Workers and of the North America region of IFSW, and is a board member of the Canadian Association of Social Workers. Jan's career has focused on child welfare. She was the first social worker hired as a special investigator by Manitoba's chief medical examiner. Next, let me introduce Ms. Sharon Rose Gittins. She's the executive board member representing Barbados. She's a qualified social worker and a former registered nurse who joined Barbados Welfare Department in 1999. She is the past chair of the Barbados Association of Professional Social Workers. She's a member of the Barbados Social Justice Committee and has been a part-time lecturer at University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus. Let me introduce Mr. Joachim Mumba. He is the executive board member of COSWA representing Zambia. He's a qualified social worker with extensive working with local and international NGOs in Zambia. He has been Secretary General and Chief Executive Officer of the Social Workers Association of Zambia. Mr. Joachim served as IFSW Africa Region Representative on the Ethics Commission and is currently Global President of IFSW. So the most popular person among the social work fraternity. Dr. K.S. Ramesh is the executive board member of COSWA representing India. He is one of the steering committee members of Tamil Nadu State Professional Social Work Council, Deputy Director at Banyan Academy of Leadership in Mental Health, and co-lead of Center for Social Care Needs and Livelihoods at the Banyan. He was the president of Professional Social Workers Association, co-founder and secretary of the Alumni Association of Madras School of Social Work, patron of Journal of School Social Work, mentor for CII Women Exemplars, state steering committee member of the National HIV/AIDS Bill, contributed to TB/HIV co-infection policy and drafting committee member for Tamil Nadu State Youth Policy. Let me introduce Ms. Naomi. She is the executive board member of COSWA, representing Australia and the Pacific. Currently, Naomi works for the NSW government as a specialist counselor. She was adjunct academic for Charles Sturt University, convener of SWIT's social workers in the Shohelvan largest practice group in Australia, vice president and longest serving member of NSW Australian Association of Social Workers, branch director on National Australian Association of Social Workers Board for 4 years. Let me introduce Mr. Theo. He's the executive board member of COSWA representing Malaysia. He's a senior lecturer at the School of Applied Psychology, Social Work and Policy, College of Arts and Sciences, University Utara, Malaysia. He served as the president of the Malaysian Association of Social Workers, member of the technical committee to improve social work professionalism in Malaysia, special project team member for the Social Work Profession Bill, and member of the management committee of the Malaysian Council on Welfare and Social Development. He was chair of COSWA in the past and currently serving as the honorary secretary of the International Federation of Social Workers, Asia Pacific, and represent the region in the Ethics Commission of IFSW, as well as serving as the honorary treasurer of the Southeast Asia and Pacific region of the International Council of Social Welfare. Mr. Okiria Gerald is the executive board member of COSWA representing Uganda. He's a professional Ugandan social worker and also a board member of National Association for Social Workers in Uganda. Currently, he works with Compassion International Uganda. He has served as the Young Carers Ambassador in East Africa under COSWA, and he is the chief editor of COSWA newsletter. Hope you are happy to know about our board members, committed board members. Thank you. Now, an introduction. Setting the context, the Commonwealth and COSWA. COSWA has been established for citizens of the Commonwealth who are committed to the promotion and implementation of social development within the civil society of Commonwealth countries. COSWA is recognized as a formal partner by the Commonwealth Secretariat and IFSW. COSWA promotes the values of Commonwealth such as prosperity, justice, and peace. The objectives of COSWA are to promote education and training of social workers throughout the world for the benefit of the public, to relieve poverty, to promote the education of the public in matters of social problems, social policy, and social organizations. Goals of COSWA are providing a Commonwealth network for information about social work and social development, providing support and sharing of technical knowledge and expertise between and amongst Commonwealth countries and their social workers, identifying and contacting people in all Commonwealth countries who will act as liaison persons for interested individuals, groups, and organizations within their countries, establishing a link with Commonwealth organizations with similar objectives, working closely with the International Federation of Social Workers and to promote active involvement of Commonwealth social workers in international social work and social development organizations. Let me now invite Ms. Monique to give more information relating to COSWA. May I request Ms. Monique?
Sylvia, Monique has sent a message. We met her in another meeting today and she is suffering from flu symptoms. I hope it is not COVID. So she's not able to join us, but I can just talk through these slides quickly. So just very quickly to remind ourselves that the Commonwealth was formed in 1949 and it's a voluntary association of now 56 independent and equal countries, most of which have a shared colonial history. But the recent countries which have joined, Rwanda, Togo, and Gabon, do not have that shared colonial history. And indeed, Mozambique has been a member. So there are all sorts of geopolitical reasons why the Commonwealth is seen as important. It's home to about 2.4 billion people, and it includes advanced economies and very small states. In fact, a lot of Commonwealth countries are very small island states whose future is threatened by climate change. So the future of the environment is really important to the Commonwealth. And there is a Commonwealth Charter which promotes prosperity, democracy, and peace. Now, the history of the Commonwealth is complex and challenging, and in COSWA we've had many discussions about that. And our statement on human rights for all, which we approved last year, recognises the importance of respecting Indigenous rights and engaging in the discourse and the discussion about decolonisation, which is active around the world. And you can see our statement about human rights for all on our website. The website address comes later. But just very quickly on the evolution of COSWA, it goes back to 1992 when Anthony Tan, who will see us later, we will see him later rather. He had a Commonwealth fellowship, and he met with the British Association of Social Workers and others. And many of us said, why do we want to involve in this post-colonial structure? We're not interested in it. But of course, as soon as you get to see what happens with 56 countries now working in the Commonwealth, it's really a network that needs to have the voice of social work. And there are around 80 other Commonwealth accredited organisations. Most professions have got a Commonwealth arm. So it seemed sensible to have a Commonwealth voice for social work. And a steering group was set up after the meeting in Colombo. And we then had a lot of discussions. We attended the heads of government meeting in Edinburgh, where in fact I was honoured to meet Nelson Mandela and Robert Mugabe and several Commonwealth leaders, because the Commonwealth has this structure that accredited organisations are invited in to the receptions and to meet heads of government. It's a unique opportunity to engage directly with senior politicians and with ministers. The Constitution was agreed in 2000. We're a company limited by guarantee in London, and we've networked strongly with the other Commonwealth organisations, and we serve on the steering group of the Independent Forum of Commonwealth Organisations. You will see our website, which has a very simple address, so it's on the screen later, and we have a newsletter which Gerald edits, and I've talked about human rights for all. So in 2022, we had a team in Kigali at the heads of government meeting that included Gerald and Charles Mbugua and Innocent Mabufuka, who is from Rwanda. Sorry, I've got the name wrong. I'm speaking from memory. But Innocent and also Alice Mbeyo from Uganda was there, not in this picture, but representing us in the Women's Forum. And I was representative in London in 2018 and was privileged to be at Buckingham Palace for the opening ceremony with the late Queen and others there. And that is the opportunities that we get by putting social work at the heart of the Commonwealth. And we can sit in the meetings of foreign ministers, this is the meeting in London, and actually watch their discussions and of course engage with them outside the meetings. And in ministerial meetings, we're able sometimes to speak at meetings. And for heads of government meetings, we work with other Commonwealth organisations to present a submission on key issues that we want them to discuss. So back to you, Sylvia, just to reflect on the challenges of social work in the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Dr. David. Next, we have this question answer session. Shall we move to the next slide? Yes. Listen to ideas from others, talk to them, get their feedback, their ideas, their creativity, says Richard Templar. Yes, now it is time to take few questions and comments from the audience. And I request the COSWA board members to be ready to answer. Yeah, can the audience post the questions or comments in the chat box, please?
While we're waiting for questions, I don't see any at the moment, Chair, but welcome to Sharon Rose, who's joined us from Barbados. And I also see George Mansoret from Sierra Leone has joined us along with others. So it's good to see everybody.
Audience, kindly post your comments or questions in the chat box.
I see a comment there from Pierre in Rwanda, who is a good friend and colleague. And you go back. Indeed, that is a typo. Kigali has got an extra A in the end. I'm really sorry about that. I do know that that is the wrong spelling. So I apologize. It's there if you could see, it should be Kigali. I don't know. Honestly, you spent ages proofreading things and you missed the obvious ones. I think possibly, Sylvia, we could move on. And if there are no questions, and I'm now going to take a risk to share a video from this morning, which gives us an opportunity to hear some people who are not with us today. So if you just allow me to set that up, and it's just a second, it will be there. You're just seeing some of the others. I know what I'm looking for.
Honored Commonwealth Social Worker Award.
Sylvia, do you want to introduce this now, or shall I just play the video?
Please play the video. Their ideas, their creativity, says Richard Templer. I'm happy that the audience are keen, interested, curious to know about COSWA and its activities. I definitely will respond to your queries and questions. Thank you. Next, we move to this Honored Commonwealth Social Worker Award. So I think we have midst of us Mr. Theong and Ms. Fiona. So Commonwealth is happy to recognize the social workers who have made a significant contribution to social work in the Commonwealth, working with COSWA. So first, we are happy to honor Mr. Anthony Tan. The award to Anthony Tan is given posthumously. Anthony died in 2013. He graduated from the National University of Singapore with a degree in social work in 1974. He contributed towards the development of Montfort Boys Town in Singapore and in Malaysia, until he moved on into the business and corporate world. He served 2 terms as president of the Malaysian Association of Social Workers in 1987, 1989, and 1997-1999, and Malaysian Association of Social Work on the IFSW Asia Pacific Committee. He received a Commonwealth Foundation Friendship Award in 1992, the first social worker within Commonwealth countries to win the award. The following year, he inspired a series of meetings working with another, David and Jones, resulting in formation of the Commonwealth Organization for Social Work, which he chaired for a few years. COSWA would not exist without Anthony's enthusiasm, commitment, and drive. It is sad that he did not live to see the flourishing of his creation, and we remember him with gratitude. I would be happy if one of the COSWA members would be able to share about, Anthony Tan. Probably Theo, shall I invite you to share a few words about Mr. Anthony Tan?
Hello, Theo. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon to everybody. I'm Theo from Malaysia. Yeah, Anthony Tan was my our president in the 80s and 90s. And he was very instrumental because he came from a very non-profit and organization perspective, and because of his enterprising nature, he also ventured into business later in his second phase of his career. But we were, for the Malaysian Association of Social Workers, we are proud that Anthony Tan has been honored with this Commonwealth Social Workers Award. We cherish his contribution, and we will always remember him as one of our great leaders in advancing our profession in Malaysia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Theo. Next, we are happy to honor Mr. Terry Bamford. The award to Terry Bamford is given posthumously. Terry died following a fall in 2020, and his many contributions to social work were celebrated in many obituaries and tributes at that time. Terry was a passionate advocate of social justice, international social work, and human rights. His contribution to COSWA as a founding board member, leader, mentor, and friend will always be valued. He made a significant contribution to the International Federation of Social Workers as parliamentarian in general meetings and on human rights. He served as trusted guide and mentor to many IFSW presidents and COSWA leaders, helping to shape many global policies. He was a former chair of the British Association and had many significant roles throughout his career. Terry has left an enduring legacy and is greatly missed by all who knew her. Terry made a huge personal contribution to international social work over more than 45 years. We still miss his calm and wise advice and are pleased to make this posthumous award today.
Sylvia, Terry's wife, Margaret, is on is here. I'm not sure if she's able to speak. Margaret, can you say something?
I can see you, David. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
I can see you, and I've just heard that. So thank you very much indeed. That's lovely, absolutely lovely. So thank you for including me, and thank you for sending me the link, and my very best wishes to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. We are happy that you are with us at this moment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I know many of you, but I recognize, of course, all your names, but I have not met many of you either. But I know all about you from Terry, who was very proud to be part of COSWA and IFSW, and as the citation said, did everything that was there. So thank you very much indeed. I'll stay here and listen, if I may, to the other awards and the other citations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We are happy about it. Next, we are happy to honor Ms. Fiona. Ms. Fiona served for many years as Honorary Treasurer of COSWA and IFSW and played a significant role in Aotearoa New Zealand Association. Fiona was a witness to the signing of the first COSWA constitutional document in 2000 and played a crucial role in COSWA from that time until her retirement as treasurer in 2020. Fiona is the walking archive of knowledge about international social work and the activities of COSWA. She is the IFSW Honorary Archivist. Fiona helped keep focus through more difficult times in COSWA. Fiona is qualified in financial management and is also a passionate social worker, interested in the whole range of social policy and especially committed to recognizing the rights of indigenous peoples in her home country and around the world. COSWA owes a great debt to Fiona, and she's a worthy recipient of this award. Thank you, Fiona, for being present with us at this moment. Over to you to share a few words.
Fiona, you are muted.
I'm now unmuted, team. I just want to say kia ora tātou. Thank you for the award, but I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank everybody past and present who've been involved with COSWA. You make up this wonderful, unique community, and I think you all deserve an award, all deserve accolades for the work that you've done and the work that you're going to do in the future. You're right. I helped David do the signing of the Constitution in Montreal 2000 and treasurer until I resigned. I was probably part of a key part of COSWA that in 2001 they had a health ministers meeting, Commonwealth health ministers meeting in Christchurch, and we COSWA put their stamp on it at that point because we organised the healthy NGO, and I was supported by Nigel Hall and Jeanette Conway. So that's an old memory that goes back. So the reason that COSWA sort of has used that basis is that we wrote heaps of policy statements, which then became the foundation for a lot more work that COSWA has done. And I think it's a stunning organisation that's done as much as it can with as little funding as it can. So, and I'm going to take this opportunity to say, in front of me, I've got the February 2005 newsletter, and would make a comment about Tiong. That's the FAST project. It is the Para 55, which was Serge Paul, Anthony Tan, etc. But sitting right in the front of this newsletter is a real article which I have a lot of passion around, and I want to leave with a passing shot around policy and how we go forward. There was an article in here about the brain drain from Africa. Now suddenly we've got the brain drain from anywhere due to COVID. So I would like to encourage the Commonwealth Organisation for Social Work to revisit the brain drain of social workers out of specific countries, and look at a way that those countries who lose their social workers should somehow be financially supported or financially rewarded the fact that they've lost their trained social worker to another country, usually a more advanced country. So on that note, I'll leave my political speech behind and say thank you very much for the award, and wish COSWA very well for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Happy that you were part of this ceremony today. Thank you. The next, we are happy to honor Mr. Nigel Hall. Nigel grew up in Zimbabwe and practiced as a social worker there. He helped the professional development of many Zimbabweans social workers as a lecturer in the University of Harare. Nigel served as IFSW President for Africa and has continued to support IFSW activity, working with Fiona on the IFSW archives. Nigel was a witness to the signing of the first COSWA Constitution in 2000 and remained an active board member and editor of the newsletter over many years. He was one of the first social work academics in Africa to focus on the HIV/AIDS pandemic, and he played a crucial role in COSWA. Working with BAW member Serge Paul and others, Nigel helped raise the profile of HIV/AIDS in the Commonwealth and the need for medical and social policy responses. Nigel helped sustain COSWA and the place of social work in Africa and in the Commonwealth, and we are pleased to honor him today.
I'm not sure if Nigel is here at this meeting. He may be joining the second meeting later today. Nigel, are you there?
Dr. David, Nigel is here.
No, I did speak to him, and I think he is hoping to join the second meeting.
Okay, thank you.
He's
Thank you,
here.
Dr. David.
And here at the second meeting.
Next, we are happy to honor Tan Ngo Tiong. Tiong qualified in social work in Singapore and was co-chair of COSWA for several years following the retirement of Anthony Tan, working closely with Charles Magua. He has held many positions in social work in Singapore and the USA and has a passionate commitment to social justice inspired by his Christian faith. Tiong launched the Families and Survivors of Tsunami FAST project in 2005, following the Pacific tsunamis, blazing new trail with others to highlight the role of social work in disaster response and interest, which continues. He is chair of the Global Institute of Social Work, which he founded, was treasurer of IASSW 2018-2020, and active in the International Consortium for Social Development and International Council on Social Welfare. Tiong was a witness to the signing of the original COSWA Constitution in 2000 and remains an active supporter of COSWA. His contribution to international social work is self-evident, and we are pleased to be able to recognize this today. Thank you, Mr. Tiong.
Thank you very much, Sylvia and David. All my friends, Fiona and all the rest, Nigel. Terry Bamford was my mentor in IFSW, and Anthony Yeo was the one who initiated me into the international scene. And together we serve COSWA as well as IFSW and ICSW. And the last appointment I have is with IASSW as the World Treasurer. And I believe that social work has a great role to play in the great changes that are taking place in the world. And COSWA is part of the network that will be very important and supportive. And of course, IASSW, there's also a launch of a new book series, which I'm the chief editor for. And I hope we can also get COSWA members and others to contribute so that we can make an impact together. As David says, this is a network. We are all family and we work together, different roles, but we want to make an impact for a better world. And I believe speaking English has a great advantage in the Commonwealth, and we can also be a great influence in the different countries, especially the less developed countries. And I think that was how FAST project was initiated. It's a multilateral, multi-organizational collaboration with IFSW, with the regional pathway, with the IASSW. And so we find that it is in working together in a network that we can make a greater impact. So I believe the future for COSWA is good. We don't have to take a very high profile. We can always take a very supportive, strong network in the approach, and we can be able to share with others. And in fact, I'm speaking right now from North Thailand, in the poorest of the poor village in Nonsambun. And we are doing a community development project here that I hope will take off. And we are in the midst of still some flooding situation and trying to work out clean water and developing agriculture-based alternate income sources for the village. So this is an exciting time. And I want to thank COSWA for this award and send greetings on behalf of Professor Anna Maria Campanini, on behalf of IASSW, wishing COSWA well and a good future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tiong.
Sylvia, that stops the video. I'm sorry there was confusion for people. The video referred to the fact that Nigel was not present, but of course he is, and we had talked before. So I hand back to you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Dr. David, for this video presentation. It was helpful. Now, may I request Mr. Nigel Hall to say a few words? We are happy that you have missed us.
Thank you, Sylvia, and greetings to everybody. And can you hear me?
Sorry, Nigel, can I ask people please to be on mute? Will AC, please, can you mute your... There is background noise. AC.
Okay, shall I carry on? I think just to repeat what I said at the very beginning, I'm very impressed with the way the COSWA has developed. It's a very modest organization, really, very modest in terms of finances, but not modest in terms of ambition. And I think COSWA has definitely hit above its weight probably all over the world, and I think the projects and activities that COSWP is currently involved with are very good and just right, and what is needed. I've been involved, as it was said, right from the beginning. Really, I think my earliest memory is Sri Lanka, 1994, and at that time I was teaching at the School of Social Work in Zimbabwe, and it was just it was great to have this other link apart from IFSW and IASSW, which brought in a whole other network of colleagues, and we made use of every possible meeting every 2 years to meet and develop our strategy. And I was mainly involved in developing a newsletter and developing the contact base to send that to. And there, I was looking back at the records, and I think I could see the first newsletter about 2007 up until about 2016. And I wondered if possibly COSWP might wish to have an archives page, and we could put those newsletters there, just to give a indication of the longevity and the breadth of work of the organization over that period of time. Anyway, I've very much enjoyed working during the period I was with COSWP, with the people we've mentioned, people like Terry, of course, who we're very sad what happened to him, Charles and David, of course, and Ramesh and Joe and Monique and Naomi and Fiona, and Anthony Tan and so on, and Jong. Many people who are still contributing to the organization. I've stepped back since my retirement to other things, but I do very much appreciate the award of this honored Commonwealth Social Work Award. Thank you very much for thinking of me. I'm not sure if I've done enough to warrant that award, but many thanks for awarding this to me, which I do appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nigel Hall. It is not what a man does that determines whether his work is sacred or secular. It is why he does it, says Tozer. Thank you very much for inspiring the social work fraternity through your social work activities. And especially, we have many students present here for this meeting, and definitely all of you, those who received the award today, would have inspired our students. Thank you very much for being the role models for the younger generation.
Sylvia, at this point, we were hoping to have a video from IFSW Rory Truell, but Joachim, the president of IFSW, is with us. Tiong brought a message from IASSW, so perhaps at this point, Joachim could do that from IF.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. David. Over to Mr. Joachim.
I'm hoping that he is still with us. He had a problem with connection in Zambia and then came back, but perhaps he's not here. If he comes back, Sylvia, we could
thank
go
you
back
so
to
much, Sylvia, and thank you, David, for this opportunity. So, dear colleagues, on behalf of IFSW,
Joachim, we are not able to hear you.
hello?
Yes, now better.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Joachim, we are able.
All right.
able to hear
Thank you so much, Sylvia. And I had even actually started talking, so I hello.
Joachim.
Yeah.
Sylvia, can you speak?
Hello.
Joachim, you can keep speaking, just keep talking.
Great. So, dear colleagues, on behalf of IFSW and indeed on my own behalf, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to have been part of the COSWA Policy Forum. As IFSW, we value the partnership with the Commonwealth Organization for Social Work, and we look forward to further strengthening this partnership. We are also alive to the fact that 56 nations under the Commonwealth share the same history in terms of the development of social work. And this is important for us and for the growth of the profession. So platforms such as the COSWA Policy Forum provides an opportunity for sharing of experiences, learning as well as networking. We look forward to a more engaging interaction and appreciate those of us that have joined during this session. To the students on this platform, you are the future of this great profession. We wish you all the best and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Joachim. Next, we have the presentation on COSWA activities by Mr. Charles and Mr. Joachim Mumba. May I request you to go ahead with the presentations on COSWA activities.
Thank you so much again, Sylvia. So in terms of the COSWA activities, I think I'll just talk about a few activities, some of the activities that COSWA has been engaged in. And one of them is the young carers. So COSWA has been engaged in with this activity for quite some time now. And through the young carers, we've also been able to develop what we're calling the Commonwealth Charter for Young Carers. So for more details, those that may wish to learn more about the young carers, you may visit the COSWA website and get more information on that. And then the other activity for COSWA has been the comparative history. That's comparative histories of the development of social work across the Commonwealth. And this was held online in March and in April. And this was a platform where there was a lot of learning and information sharing about the development of social work across the Commonwealth. The other activity has been a series of webinars which were hosted by COSWA. And also one of the other activities that COSWA has been engaged in is the first project which had to do with families and survivors of the tsunami in 2005. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Mr. Joachim, for highlighting on the projects of COSWA. Next, I invite Ms. Sharon Rose to present on COSWA's Commonwealth partnerships and non-Commonwealth partnerships. Over to you, Ms. Sharon Rose.
Thank you, Sylvia, and it's truly a joy to share on these partnerships, and we would realize that it's partnerships both Commonwealth and non-Commonwealth partnerships. Here we take a look at the independent forum of the Commonwealth organizations. We also had Sustainable Society's Call to Action. There is the Children's Cluster, and Along with the cluster, we also looked at human rights and diversity, common age, and we continue to look at issues pertaining to and partner with HIV/AIDS. As we take a look at the next slide, you'll see a bit more of where our partnerships have led. You've heard the IFSW, and here there's a constant working environment, read the research projects. There's also the International Association of Schools of Social Work, the People's Global Summit on the Eco-Social Work, and the Global Association of Public Health Professionals. So as we share these partnerships and as the partnerships continue to grow, I hope we get a better understanding of COSWA and the work that is quite engaging in all sectors from health, education, and the environment. Thank you, Sylvia. Over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon. Next, we move on to questions and comments session. Critical thinking requires intellectual humility, courage, empathy, integrity, and perseverance, says Gibbs and Gambrill. Now, I encourage the participants to post questions in the chat box so that you may be answered. Your questions may be answered by our senior social workers, our board members.
Sylvia, there are quite a few questions in the chat this time. In this morning's session, there were not so many, so it is really good. And a number of people have been asking how they can get involved and are we sufficiently inclusive? And I would just ask people to hold those questions, because when we talk about our new governance arrangements, you will see that we are expanding the number of people and countries that can be involved with the Commonwealth, and that you will see that. And then there's another question session at the end. We are also having inviting people to express their interest and send an email to register their interest in becoming policy members, and we'll explain that in the next session. So that I think is a number of the questions around involvement and engagement. Pierre, I hope you saw I spelt Kigali correctly the second time it came up there. Then George Mansoret from Sierra Leone, I think, has asked what is being done to develop indigenous social work practice and make sure that that is brought into the social work practice of teaching institutions and others. And I think that is part of the history project that we are hoping to develop. And if our dreams work, that will be quite a big project that will look at the history and of course must then speak about decolonization and valuing indigenous approaches. But I think COSWA doesn't have the scope to provide training courses at the moment, but if people want to partner with us, we can do that. But we're very aware that there is an important need to develop indigenous perspectives, and that doesn't only relate to Africa and Asia. Indeed, in my country, sometimes the government imposes particular social work methods and approaches which are not comfortable for local communities. And so this is a debate that affects all of us, what makes social work effective. I don't know if any colleagues wish to speak about that issue. I think I've covered the questions. Obviously, a lot of it is about how people can be more involved, and we will be speaking about that in more detail in the next session. Sylvia?
Yes, Dr. David. Thank you, Dr. David. Next, we move on to the COSWA governance and constitution, the changes. Vision is a long-term goal. Vision does not change. Visions are simply refined with time. So now COSWA is willing to change into a trust model, and the presentation relating to the new COSWA governance, the objectives and why we need to change, challenges for governance, key elements, policy members and role of the policy forum, etc. will be presented by Dr. David and the team which worked on that. May I request first Dr. David to present on the objectives of new COSWA governance?
Indeed. Well, the objectives are to look at those are the various elements. So we need to acknowledge. I'm just trying to find to mute the background noise, which is a little distracting. And I think I've done that now. So the objectives are to recognize all countries and territories. Of course, for COSWA, that's a big challenge because our membership is very broad. It is not only associations, it is not only universities, it is both organizations and individuals. And in principle, because we are for social work and we are not of social workers, it's possible for quite a wide range of people who support social work to be in membership. So that presents us with a big challenge, that wide scope of interest and membership. And how do you, as a very small organization which has less than £500 in the bank, how do we manage the administration of recognizing the global nature of our membership in a way that is effective? But we need to be transparent, we need to be efficient. We need to, you can see that our board is representative of all Commonwealth regions, but as you will see, we are wanting to develop that further. And we also need to respect existing organizations and structures, IFSW, IA, and we're proportionate. So we are not a global representative body. We are not like IFSW or IASSW. Indeed, we rely on their policies and their thinking. We are partners with them, but in our own area to ensure the voice of social work that often is led by IFSW and IASSW, that is reflected in the Commonwealth. So those are our objectives: inclusion, transparency, efficiency, manageability within limited resources, and being proportionate. Over to Jan.
Yes, over to Jan.
Sorry, I'm on now. Well, in the new COSWP governance model, the way that we've been looking at it, and the way that the organization will continue to look at it with input from social workers. Of course, the question arose: why do we need to change? Well, it was decided that obviously improving transparency and accountability is always a good thing in organizations. And we wanted to invoke the charter principles and accreditation requirements for social workers, and actually for ourselves as an organization, and for anyone who later would join COSWP. We want to build in sustainability, and certainly David has spoken to that, and £500 in the bank kind of says sustainability would be an important thing to build in. But how to do that? Social workers often pay to their national organization. Some of those fees go to IFSW. So the ability to access funds is somewhat limited, although COSWP looks for opportunities to partner, to take on projects as a way of remaining able to fund the very modest operations, and also to provide assistance to social workers who may be traveling to events, conferences on behalf of COSWP. And we will respond to the ambivalence of being part of the Commonwealth and the acknowledgement of that history. Canada certainly seems to be ambivalent. We didn't see a lot of celebration of the Queen's 70th anniversary, although there was a definite response to her passing. So we have to work with the understanding, and as David has said and Sylvia has said, that there is a history. Certainly for Indigenous people in Canada, they I think have more correctly placed their concerns with the federal government as opposed to the Crown. And we must remain proportionate. As an organization, we should reflect the involvement of the social workers in the countries that are members. So in my understanding, it certainly is that there are not many, the proportionality is very important in determining board composition, committee composition, representation at events. And so we want to work, or we are working, and ask for your assistance in working on a new governance model that will make COSWP both modern and sustainable and representative of the social workers and populations served. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jan. May I request Mr. Ramesh to present on the key challenges for governance and key elements.
Sorry, Dr. Sylvia, there is one more slide. Are we missing it? Because it's also Jan.
Oh, and this is mine as well. This is my question. This is my slide as well. There are challenges, of course, for governance. We are a global network of individuals, and certainly potentially can become even larger, including associations and organizations. And again, this can grow to be a very large number. And the question is, how do you manage an organization where I could join, the association I belong to could join, and a national association could join? How is that managed? How is that structured? We would anticipate growth in the governance model. And again, as I said before, we acknowledge our limited capacity and funding, and need to find ways of balancing the ability to expand with the ability to find sufficient funds. We want to balance inclusion against our administrative capacity. How large can we grow? How many new countries can be admitted? How many new organizations? How many new associations? To keep within the capacity of the organization. We want to ensure there's a balance among the regions admitted, the gender of those represented, and minority groups who become part of COSWP. And as a woman, I have to say that one of the things that most impresses me about COSWP is the fact that it is very open about gender balance. And I'm very impressed by this openness. We want to remain proportionate. We are not aiming to be a global representative voice. Again, growing to a size that is manageable, growing to a size that still allows individuals, associations, and organizations to have a voice. These are wonderful goals, and we need your help in bringing them to fruition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jan. May I now request Mr. Ramesh to present on the new trust model, the structure.
Thank you, Dr. Sylvia. So the new model, after evaluating different organizations model through a survey of all the Commonwealth accredited organizations, we have come out with what is possible within the limited, resources and time and efforts required. So we identified a model which is a trust model, wherein a representation of each nation in a Commonwealth, that is 56 nations, can be represented as a voting member who will form a Commonwealth Council. And from the council, the board will be elected. And there is an appointments committee which will advise both the council as well as the board. There is one question how a Commonwealth Council will be formed, because we have only one voting member from each country. So we would like to propose national appointment groups, wherein when we receive more than one nomination from country, the national appointment groups, even that one nomination also will be screened by the national appointment group, whether the nominated person will be able to serve at the Commonwealth Council level. So the policy members, all of you currently who are part of the policy forum, this becomes like an advisory forum. We would like to conduct this every 2 years, wherein you have an opportunity to share your suggestions, recommendations to the council, so that the implementation can be more effective. Wherein everybody in the Commonwealth region who is supporting social work have a voice in the Commonwealth Commonwealth Organization for Social Works activities. So this is just a diagram for you to understand how we would like to change our governance to a new form. You can see the Commonwealth Council in the center, which will be a body which has a representation as well as a power to elect the board. Thank you all for joining this forum, and we look forward to all of your support. Over to Sylvia.
Thank you, Dr. Ramesh, for presenting the new COSWA governance model. Next, I request Dr. David to present the timeline, the targets, new COSWA governance, the targets that we are about to achieve in another 2 years. Over to Dr. David.
Thank you, Sylvia. And this is clearly a challenging structure to create these different arrangements, particularly the national appointment groups that will appoint the members of the Commonwealth Council, the COSWA Commonwealth Council, because there will be a mixture of organizations and individuals in each country. And how is that brought together in a way that is manageable, does not involve huge expenditure on elections, but is seen to be transparent and reasonable? And that is one of the big challenges. So we see this as a 2-year implementation. We've got to prepare the formal legal documents and take advice on that. We see that from October through to March, we also will look at consultation with national social work associations. My guess is that many national associations will want to play a strong role in this process, but we have to say to them that they are members, if you like, alongside individuals and possibly universities, other organizations. So there's some challenges around making that work. The board, who are currently the members of the board who you've met, are the only voting members, because we don't have any other membership structure at the moment. We ceased member recruitment while we sorted out the constitution. So they will approve the new constitution next May. And then we will continue to go through. We expect we will have another policy forum meeting this time next year. That then we go into 24 when we will be setting up the appointments and the arrangements for the Commonwealth Council and a general meeting. So this will be a very, very different way of organising COSWA. It will involve people from every country, and we are also looking at having the policy forum, which is where there will be a forum where organisations and individuals can come together. There's no limit on how often that can meet. To be clear, the forum does not have a power to make votes and to require the board or the council to do things, but it is an advisory forum where they can provide advice to the Commonwealth Council, which is the main decision-making structure of the organisation. So just to go back, there you see the policy forum advises the council. The council are the formal members of the organisation. That includes also the board members, and that's how the structure aims to work. It's quite a different structure from many that we are used to, but we think that it also allows us to ensure that the board and indeed the council reflect the gender balance that is important to us, reflect the other issues as well that about minorities or special interests that need to be included. And the COSWA board itself will also have to be representative of the Commonwealth regions. There's a lot in that, and it's going to take some time to unpack it. It's taken us over a year to work it up. But Sylvia, back to you, because now I think there's time for any comments and questions. And for those colleagues who asked, how is it possible to be involved? There are two ways. One is by being joining as a policy member individually, and we'll give you an email address where you can write about that in a minute. But also for some people, there's the new Commonwealth Council, which will be an exciting development. Sylvia.
Thank you, Dr. David. I thank the steering committee members, Dr. David, Ms. Jan, and Dr. Ramesh for introducing this new model of COSWA governance and making us think and work on these lines. A positive attitude towards a particular way of thinking is the first important element of good thinking, as it provides motivation and energy needed for a given task. Thank you very much, dear team. So if there are no questions, I don't think there are questions anymore.
No, I don't see any questions, and I know that there's a lot of information in this. We will put some papers on our website about it, but it's the first information, and it's going to take 2 years to work through.
Okay, so we will move to the next slide. What next? So our next step is going to be, the implementing of the plans that we have. Right. So now over to Gerald to brief about the newsletter, which gives complete information about COSWA activities and COSWA's board members' involvement. Over to Mr. Gerald.
Yes, thank you very much, Sylvia, and much appreciated. Yes, indeed, as the Commonwealth Organization for Social Work, we have more forums and more platforms through which members can effectively participate. And among them of late is our newsletter. Our most recent one was published last week. So every year we publish 4 newsletters. So in those letters, partner organizations and individuals share their thoughts, and they are very rich. For example, in the 2 newsletters that you're seeing right before you have had an article on eco-social work leaving no one behind that talked about the People's Summit and several other concerns that came out. And then the one that you're seeing on your right, according to my screen, talks about the open meeting and several engagements that even we had during CHOGM. We had something quite interesting, especially for the young people that are on or relating to sports. So we had also something relating to how we performed in the Commonwealth Games. So the newsletter, by the way, if you've not yet got opportunity to read more, there is a team in the UK that is currently engaging on how to support social workers who are practicing in the UK. So it's important, you know, to get to learn and get to understand how social workers across borders are working and how you can partner with. Our desire is that all social workers within the Commonwealth will always find a home and find a place to feel safe to practice and reach out to the people who are in need and need our services. Thank you. I don't know whether there's another slide or David, my colleague whom we serve with in the newsletter bit, can say something before I take it back to Sylvia. David? Doctor, sorry.
We use just first names. It gets too complicated using titles in my, I think, but thank you, Gerald, and you've done a fantastic job. That was a 15-page newsletter packed with short stories. It's not a long thing to read. Quick information, often with links to other places you can see. And the newsletter is one place to watch for how things unfold and develop. But Gerald puts in a huge amount of work on the newsletter. Sylvia, I think it's back to you.
Thank you, Gerald.
Sylvia, could I just ask?
Yes.
Sylvia, could I just say one thing? Gerald mentioned the diaspora social work group in the UK, and it may be of interest to some people to know a little bit about that. One of the co-chairs of that group had told me he would be participating in this meeting, but Duke, I don't see him there. I've looked, and Duke is not there. But Janet, I'm sorry I'm putting you on the spot, but Janet Walker from the British Association, I don't know if you'd want to say something there. There's a lot of work going on in the UK trying to support social workers who come to work here from other countries. And that is in the context, as Fiona mentioned an hour ago in the video, she was talking about compensation to countries where social workers leave to go and work in the UK, especially, but also other countries. So I don't know if Janet is around and would wish to say anything.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, there's been a lot of work going on, particularly looking at the experiences of social workers who've arrived from other countries and really trying to build on and massively improve experiences so that social workers who arrive from other countries do have a much more positive experience and much more support and mentoring to enable them to integrate far more on what is happening. I know there has been some work early on done with government departments as well to look at setting some standards and improving issues. I'm sure it won't take much for you to know. Currently, it's unclear who we're speaking to in the government, or indeed who the government is, but that's a different story. But the work does continue, and it can and is very much managed by and led by social workers who are from other countries too, which is really important experience, and looking at a set of standards as well. I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you, Janet. Yes, that's standards for the employers.
Absolutely.
What they should provide, because we know that many social workers come from other countries to the UK and have a bad experience. They're not supported. They don't get help with housing. There are lots of cultural differences. And the Commonwealth has a policy about recruitment of health workers, And a commitment of the British Health Department is to provide support to countries that are sending their professionals to our country. And social work has not featured very strongly in that, but there is some work going on, and we hope that that will also develop. So George Mansoret asked that question, I think, at one point, and others have asked it. So if you look at the newsletter, there is an email address. You can contact the Diaspora Social Workers Group, and they are all social workers who are living and working in this country, but have come from other countries, and are a very useful point of contact. Sylvia, sorry to interrupt you, but I thought that was possibly of interest to colleagues. Back to you.
Thank you, Dr. David. Thank you, Janet, for highlighting these matters, which are significant to our students who may seek employment, maybe in the near future. Thank you. And thank you, Gerald, for your presentation on the newsletter of COSWA. You are the man behind. Okay. Now, what next? And now, what do we do? COSWA board will implement constitutional arrangements over 2 years. Policy membership opens, and audience may have to watch for announcement on website and social media. A similar meeting, Policy Forum meeting, will be organized in 2023, and the current activities of COSWA will continue. And there are more opportunities for involvement and feedback. Please keep reading our newsletter and our updates on social media. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If we believe that a task is too difficult, we will not attempt it or only give it half of our attention to it. Whereas if we believe something is achievable, we are likely to give it our best shot. So I encourage the participants to keep following the updates of COSWA in the upcoming years, to be involved in the activities. So now it is time to say a formal thank you to all. May I now invite Ms. Sharon to give a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sylvia. And that's where the formal invitation starts, and that goes to you. I want to say that thank you may not be an expression we often hear among us as professionals to each other in helping, but today was more a chance for us to look at each other and to ensure the growth and better governance, both as individuals, associations, as well as organizations. We open our doors, I believe, with maybe less than 20 persons, and we open maybe in the morning, early morning. For some, it may have been in the afternoon, others in the evening or even at night, but we opened our doors nevertheless, and you came. So it's very important for us to show gratitude, and to those who organized, those who are behind the scenes, those who participated, and those who may have planned to be here. And for some unexpected reasons, it may have been Wi-Fi, it may be something that really and truly they did not anticipate, prevented them from being here. I want to say special thanks to our social work awardees. And yes, Dr. David is amazing. Dr. David is more than Dr. David. Dr. David is everyone. Everyone will love to be a Dr. David, but there's only one Dr. David in terms of being part of the committee and being quite a lead. Miss Sylvia, thank you for maneuvering us through and navigating us through the entire session. I also want to give special thanks to Joachim, the AFSW president, and also in recognition for each person who made it. As I said, we started with under 20 persons, and we are now closing our doors with over 55 participants. But are we closing our doors with 55 participants, or are we really and truly closing our doors with over 55 new partners in the Commonwealth social work? Simply, thank you all, and thank you for understanding that we are never left alone. As long as COSWA is here, as long as we are working together, then really and truly we say thank you everybody for making this day truly special. Over to you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon. This platform for organizing this meeting was provided by IFSW and COSWA board. Thanks, IFSW team, Mr. Rory, Mr. Joachim, Mr. Mayaka, and IFSW dignitaries. Thank you. The certificates will be sent to the participants by next week. So I'm happy to say that. Let us close with this quote.
Sylvia.
Yes, Dr. David.
We didn't take a photograph.
Yes.
And before your closing, you have some lovely words to finish, I know. Could we ask the participants to switch on their videos, and it would be nice if you're willing to have a photograph.
It's like with depression and anxiety.
Nice to see you, George. How are you?
Can we ask Gwen,
Pierre.
Gwyneth, please mute.
Hold a minute.
Gwyneth, please mute.
So, is there somebody, Teo took the photo for us last time, but who's really great at taking a photograph on the, I'm not a great one.
David, I will take.
Can you take a photo? Great.
Yes.
A screenshot. You want a screenshot? Anybody else who wants to join us and be in the screenshot? I think we've still got some people joining us. Yep. Okay, Andrea, your picture is on its side as if you're sleeping. So do you want to turn around a bit? Anyway. Good. Okay, so
I will take several, just a minute, because there are 3 pages. But I see some people still have their videos off. Please, could you turn them on?
Yes, right.
So that you can get the faces.
Right, I think that's what we go with. So Gerald, when you're ready, thank you. Then tell us 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I'm taking. I hope the smiles don't fade. Okay, I think in the next few minutes, few seconds, like about 3, I'll be done. I'll take the last one on for the other group. Okay, I think I'm done. Let's see if there's one who is waiting for the flash.
Okay. I see one person has a hand up, Sylvia. I don't know. Mwalesi, are you wanting to say something or?
Okay, it's just a greeting. I'm greeting from Tanzania. I'm happy to join this meeting this night.
Thank you, Mwalesi. Jambo, habari yako?
Salama, shikamoni wakubwa.
Mzuri kabisa. Thank you. Just a little bit of Swahili. I don't know much more than that. But
asante sana. Karibuni Tanzania. So welcome, Mr. David.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. Sylvia, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. David. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gerald, for that picture. Right. So with this quote, we will end today's meeting. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest men and women with the biggest ideas can be shot down by the smallest minds. Think big anyway. Give the world the best you have. You will get kicked. Give the best to the world you have anyway, said Kent M. Keith. So I'm happy that you were all part of this meeting. You have invested the greatest resource, your time, to be with us and listen to the changes in the COSWA governance model. Thank you for investing your time, energy, and being part of this. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all.
Greetings from everybody, and in a few minutes I will switch off and we will be saving the video.
So thank you. Thank you, Dr. David.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sylvia.
very much.
Thank you, Sylvia.
That was a very sweet vote of thanks from Sharon. Liked it very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, Jan.
Goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Have yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Stay
Bye.
safe.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.